Today we're at a national monument. It's Fort Matanzas, right here on the Matanzas River, Matanzas Inlet. It's just about 3 miles from our marina, so we biked it over. So we're gonna be visiting, but here in the visitor center, you get a boarding pass to take a ferry over to the fort. So come join me. Here we go. Got my passport. We're at Fort Matanzas. And here we go. Yeah, that's better. Ta-da! Hello there. In order to get to the fort, it's on an island, and we're going to take a ferry. So we'll be boarding the National Park Service ferry in about 10 minutes. And we'll go across there to the fort to visit and learn and grow our brains. Fort Matanzas is built by the Spanish, and it was built as a watchtower to protect St. Augustine, which is just up the way a bit. And I guess it actually worked. They actually drove back the British. But I do want to zoom in on this right here. This was the Burgundy Cross, and that was the flag the Spanish flew, which is now incorporated in the Florida state flag. Who knew? Right, Captain Dan?
I didn't.
Let me see you do a who knew?
Oh no.
All right. There's the fort. I'm on the ferry. All the ferry people. Fort, ferry, and fun. Here's the Matanzas River. And this is the island that the fort is on, the watchtower, and that's the Intracoastal out there. So originally, looks like that's a little lookout, but the reason that lookout is there, the island was actually just this mown area when the Spanish were here in the 1500s through the 1700s. So that is the original island, but look at this, this is all added.
So from up here, their cannon could defend the southern approach to St. Augustine. This roof was the water collection area for the cistern. Water collected up here and ran down that hole. And there is the ducting that brought the water down to the cistern down below.
So this was where the captain slept. This is the captain's quarters, and this is where he would do his work, just like our nav station. And here's his bed, just feels like our beds. So the captain's quarters. So that's where we just were. That's the cistern or the lookout also. Captain's quarters. Came down here to where the cannons were. This is made out of coquina, which also the St. Augustine fort is made out of. And if you look closely, it's tiny shells. So it's basically beach in petrified form. And then what they would have done was they would have covered this with plaster. And they wanted to paint it white and red, like the Spanish flag. Since we became Florida residents, I've always wondered why our state flag had that red X in it. Today I found out that is actually the cross of Burgundy, which was the old, pre-Spanish flag, so that's why it's flown here. It's also incorporated in the Alabama flag, we found out today, because they were both Spanish colonies. So very cool. Red Cross, and that's part of our flag. This is the soldiers' quarters. So 4 soldiers slept here in their little hay beds, and other things are here. But you could see the Spanish were very Catholic, so there are signs of that. There's my National Park hat with so many of my National Park pins on it, and I just acquired 2 more. I got the Fort Matanzas, and I got the St. Andrew Cross, or the Cross of Burgundy, which is part of the Florida state flag and the Alabama state flag. I love this. I'm excited. My two new acquisitions. Ta-da! That was a nice little trip. It's free. Takes about an hour altogether, and highly recommend it. Fort Matanzas National Monument. We just found something fascinating. We pulled into Washington Oaks Gardens State Park, and one of the first things we did, we found old Highway A1A, and it was originally Highway 140, and it was built in 1926, but by 1955 they moved it just a little more east where we've been riding all day. But there is part of the original A1A. That's so cool. Well, we got to go ride it. That's really cool. So this is on the grounds of the Young family, and the coquina pillars, right there, you'll see a lot of coquina in this area. And at the request of Mr. Young in 1955, they actually moved and rerouted A1A, so it didn't go through his property. Huh, who knew? There are lots of trails back here through their gardens, which was once orange groves back in the 1800s and 1900s. And now it's just beautiful. I would call it a forest of palm trees and hickory and oak.
And magnolias and lots of things.
Lots of things. We got it all going on. Trail is very nice and even. It is sand, but it's a nice walk, right? Yeah. And it's nice and cool on a 90-degree day.
A lot of shade in here.
Yeah, there is. So far, so good. Very lovely. Getting our steps in. Right, Captain Dan?
Yep.
See, I'm marching.
I'm not.
We are going up a little bit of an incline here. It's called a midden. M-I-D-D-E-N. That's a new word to me. Good crossword puzzle word. Midden. And basically, it's where below us were a lot of shells and mollusk shells and earthenware from the tribes who lived here. So archaeologists can do a lot of studying, or have done a lot of studying of what they ate and all the other things that come with archaeological digs. So anyway, a midden, I don't know if you could tell, but it is on a hill. Let's see, how can I make that look hilly? Now, here's the rose garden, the formal rose garden of Mrs. Young. It seems like women of wealth loved their rose gardens. She was a millionaire when she became 19, owning a women's lingerie. And now there are roses. Look at the size of that tree. There's the gazebo again. And now we're on the River to Sea Trail. And it says right here, there will be alligators. Do not go near them. All right, Captain Dan's being brave. Here we go. Let's see, how can I make that look hilly? No, but it's a little. Here, pretend I'm walking up. Ta-da!